Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
G'day, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie Metal Guy here with Crank.com. So today, tonight, wherever you are in the world, it is with great bloody pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Grant Nicholas, the lead guitarist and vocalist for the Welsh rock band FEEDER. Absolute bloody legends in the scene. They have been a prominent figure in the music industry since the band's formation way back 1992. Can you believe it? Over the years, FEEDER has released 12 studio albums, with their latest double album, Black Red, released in April last year. It is the conclusion of a trilogy that did start with Torpedo. The album has been very well received, and they are gearing up for their highly anticipated Australian tour this year. April, which does nearly mark a year since the release of Black Red and is the first visit in 14 years. Grant, thank you for joining me, my friend.
Hey Jay, how you doing?
I am very, very well, man. This is an absolute bloody pleasure, man. First off, though, can you tell me a little bit about that Black Red album? What inspired you to release that as a double album? I know it was kind of a trilogy conclusion, but is that how it will start? Tell me all about it.
Well, we were going to do a double album here before, so like Torpedo was going to be a double album. I got kind of cold feet thinking, in this current climate, is it a bit old school doing a double album? Is it a bit prog rock? But that's what I love about sort of doing something a bit different. I mean, it's a bit crazy, I suppose, in the current climate to be doing a double record, but we've been a band for like 30 years or more, and I'm still very lucky that I'm still like really inspired. I'm still writing like more songs now than I ever have. So I thought, hey, we got all these songs. Let's just put them out there. And I think what I was really, really obviously weary of was, I didn't want it to be a double album that had a lot of filler on there. I wanted to make it like really strong and make it almost like two like standalone albums. So if you took like on the CD and heard it, it would be like, hey, that's a good FEEDER album. That's a good FEEDER album. And that's kind of how I approached it. So I suppose you've got Torpedo was the first bit, and then you've got these two. So it kind of, I feel like I've kind of sort of not put a full stop on it, but I felt like those three bodies of work just felt like they were connected. And some of them were written, even songs from Black Red were written at the same time, or if not before, some of the Torpedo stuff, like during lockdown and all that. So some of them ended up on this record, and some ended up on Torpedo. So they all felt like they were kind of sort of, belonged in the same place in some way. So that's why it became this sort of like trilogy idea, I suppose.
Yeah, did you know you were going to go for the trilogy when you first made the Torpedo one, or was it just something that like I made this now and this kind of continues on from it, or?
It just kind of sort of grew into that, really. I realized I had a lot of songs, and then we sort of had enough to make it to do like another album off Torpedo, and then I just carried on writing, and then that's why we sort of ended up with loads of tracks. And I've still got another album's worth of stuff that I haven't used yet. So we got another album almost in the can after, which is some of the tracks felt a little bit different to the Torpedo and Black Red stuff. So I felt like I didn't want to dilute the message too much. I wanted these albums to have to have some classic FEEDER moments on there, have some heavy stuff, some more anthemic stuff. That's what kind of band we are. We're not, we're a rock band, indie rock band, but we love to sort of go super mellow sometimes and then go heavy and riffy. Some tracks are more anthemic. That's kind of what we are, and that's what we've always been. And, some people, either love it or don't get it. But, we're a very song-based band, and I just write songs, and that's what I love, and that's what FEEDER's all about, really.
And writing albums as well, I dare say you would have got a fair bit of pressure from outside forces as well over this going, we're still making whole albums the way the state of the music scene is at the moment, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we're quite lucky because we've always, like the last few albums we've, last sort of 10, 15 years, we've kind of done it on our own labels and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we've had a lot of freedom. So that's been great. I mean, we've always been quite lucky in that respect, because even when we were signed to Echo, there were a few, you have to listen to them and sort of go with labels, but we were always they kind of trusted us just to let us get on with stuff. And I kind of like that, because nothing worse than being halfway through a record and you've got some people coming down and, kind of disrupting the whole vibe. So, we've been quite lucky in that respect, but, obviously you have to work with the labels as well, and you have to listen to other people's opinions. But yeah, I think we haven't had to compromise like too much, and I think that's I think that's really helped the music.
Yeah, well, there's some real positives and there's some real bloody negatives in the scene here at the moment. But if you do want to
Yeah,
go independent and release your music or have a little bit more control over your music, instead of the labels having that control, you can do it these days. But it is a hell of a bloody lot of work. And you guys have been around for so long, and you've always had a really close relationship with Australia. As I mentioned prior to the interview, I came across you guys, a huge Triple J listener here in Australia, and that's one station, the national station, that's always kind of had a really good relationship with FEEDER over the years as well. How
yeah.
important is that for, to have that connection with the Australian fans and with a station like that?
Well, it's great, it's great that there is some people that still care about radio because it was, when we were sort of, in the 90s and sort of 2000, early 2000s, certainly first half. Well, actually, most of it was such a massive thing. I mean, if you had like a playlist on a big station, it could like make or break you. I mean, obviously now it's a slightly different world because obviously radio is still like really important, especially to a band like FEEDER, but it's a world of, like streaming and Spotify and stuff. So it's a bit different now. So I think that's where, the whole climate has changed. But, I still love it when, stations, like play us and, and either whether it's in Australia or in America, there's still a few stations that play us because, we had a bit of success in our early days in America. And yeah, we're pretty old school. So, I probably haven't really quite got that out of my system, yeah, the whole radio thing. But yeah,
I'm
yeah,
old school too, mate. I just finished up doing 6 years on radio myself as well. So, I still see the joy in radio as well because you'd find bands like yourself. I
I
remember
do.
being a young lad and you don't have
Yeah,
control. You sit down and you listen. I remember the first time I started hearing you guys on the radio among other bands. It was like, wow, you sit there and you write it down. Or what I'd do with my mum's old tape cassettes is I'd stick that little bit of sticky tape over it, chuck it in the and press
I used to
record
do,
when it.
I used to do that all the time. Like yeah, I know, like foreign albums, I know, sort of bootlegging and stuff. But that was all, that was it really. That was the whole physical side of it, wasn't it? Which I'm still desperately hanging on to. That's why we still, even on our last sort of, well, actually most of our records, actually, we've done them on like cassette format. We've done, vinyl. We do obviously CDs. And a lot of people quite like them because it's almost like they become like quite collectible. And a lot of younger kids who are into FEEDER, we got some diehard old school fans. We've also got a lot of young kids who've got into us like through their mums and dads and older brothers and sisters and stuff like that. And also I think the 90s bands, like us, especially from the UK, there isn't that many around. So I think they're kind of like discovering us.
Yeah, and how good is it too seeing these old? Well, I'm saying it's old, but for us it doesn't feel old. These formats coming back, like the tape cassettes and the vinyls, are doing really well because those kind of mediums, they do lock you into that listening experience. Same with CDs. I have a massive CD collection as well. I'm
Yeah.
crazy on still buying CDs and having that listening experience. And I find that when you do buy the CD for the album, say Black Red, you go out, grab your double album of Black Red, you put it in, you're locked in to this listening experience. And what I found with this album, with all your albums, you still,
Yeah.
as you said, it's all killer, no fillies. They're still making whole albums when you do come to that songwriting process. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the whole physical side as well. We really do. I mean, I'm really into that. So we work with really cool artists and, the artwork and just all the credits and the engineers and producers and all the work goes into it. I love all that because, when I was a kid, I remember looking at album sleeves and saying, oh, yeah, who did that and who wrote that? And, I know some people don't care about that anymore, but for us, we feel as though it's important to us as a band and it's important to give credit to people that have worked with us as well. So they, that helps them. And also, that's all part of the process for me. I think album sleeves are like pieces of art. If you don't listen to them, just put them on the wall or whatever. I've always loved that whole physical side. And I think it is coming back a little bit. And I think it's like anything, things go full circle. Like 90s music like us is kind of a bit cooler now than it was maybe 10 years ago. And it's just the way it is. Music, it comes and goes and it goes in circles. But eventually, I think if these things come back, and I think if you're a good band or you've got some good tunes, it will eventually come around again at some point.
Yeah, so coming back to Australia after 14 years, I dare say you
Yeah.
guys have been pretty excited. How do you go with a tour like this? I know there's worse positions to be, but you guys have a whole ton of great material. You're going to want to play the classics, but you're also going to want to rip out some
Yeah.
tracks from albums that we haven't had a chance to catch some of the songs live as well, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously, they're club shows. We haven't been there for a long time, so we're like a, unknown band to most people. So, we're not expecting,
Oh,
you have to work hard, and that's why I'm talking to you, and hopefully spread the word and let people know about the shows because, it's been a long time, and I think if you love Feed or if you like the kind of band we are, come and see us because I don't know when we'll be coming back next. Hopefully, it won't be 14 years, but we're not getting any younger, and I think if you're a fan, I think you should definitely come to one of these shows because it'll be stripped back feeder, which I think is the best way of seeing us sometimes. So there'll be no thrills. It'll be us. It's all about the music, us having a great time, and hopefully people enjoying the shows. And as you said, Ben, we're going to try and do a bit of a mixture. So we'll do some black red stuff because we really like the album. We enjoy playing it. We'll do some torpedo stuff, and we'll go right back to polythene, and we'll do as much as we can. Without hopefully outstaying our welcome.
I don't think that'll be a problem, and I dare say you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you get down here. You have a huge fan base. I know bands out of Wales have always done pretty well over here in Australia. Forget America, but
Right.
over here in Australia we do really, really bloody well. And you were talking about the album cover experience as well and being
Yeah.
an art. That's another thing I want to point out. The whole art thing. It's the
Yeah.
whole package. The album art, music is art, art is life, and for me the way that it's going a little bit, moving a little bit away from these physical mediums, I think it's kind of missing a part of the art form as well that the music does express.
It is because if you go back into like the Beatles days and all those bands, they always worked with like there was always a lot of like connection between artists and like music, and I think that's something I've always loved. And some of the most like classic album covers were like collaborations or artists or various things, and I think that we've always I've always loved that. So maybe it's because I was brought up on those kind of bands that had those kind of album sleeves where it's like bands from America or UK, whatever it was, even some of those old prog rock and sort of like Yes album covers, they're really massively influential with me. And even like ELO and Boston covers, I used to love all that stuff. Led Zeppelin covers, they're like super cool artwork, Beatles stuff and all that. And that's kind of influenced us as well in just the way we like to present our stuff. It's to me an album cover is almost like a bit like when you do merchandise. It needs to feel like it's part of the band and feels like it represents what you're doing.
Yeah, and then playing live is a huge part of a band's lifeblood these
Massively.
days, isn't it? It's like it used to be back then, but it seems to be it's a lot more a really important part of being a band because the way the state of the fucking music scene,
Yeah.
unfortunately, everyone thinks, oh yeah, I'm just listening on Spotify, I'm supporting. Unfortunately, thanks for your little bit of support, but if you really want to support, go out and buy the tickets when FEEDER hit Australia. Buy the albums, buy the merch, because that's where the support really is, isn't it?
Bands like live off live now, and it's hard because coming to Australia is extremely expensive. For us, I'd be lying to you if I said that we were actually making any money out of this because we'd probably be losing it. But we want to just come there, have a great time, and we've been honestly, I've been trying to get back there. I've been hounding our agency for about the last 10, 15 years, and it just all came together on this because we're going to Japan after as well. We're starting in Singapore, which is great because it meant it
Yep.
broke the flight up a little bit. So it's not that
Yeah.
that's a killer flight. So we're going to do Singapore, just only one show. Then we come to Australia. Then we're going to like Japan, and then back to do some stuff, a few shows here and then festivals. And then we got some feeder plans for a bit later in the year. And look, if it goes well in Australia, we'll definitely come back, and hopefully it won't be as long.
You hear that? Everybody go grab some bloody tickets. FEEDER does hit
Yeah.
Australia Saturday, 5th of April, starting in Perth. Sunday, 6th of April in Adelaide, which I will be there front row centre. Wednesday, 9th of April, Melbourne. Thursday, 10th, Sydney. Friday, 11th in Brisbane. Rounding it up, the Phoenix AU is bringing it out. They're a great mob of people too. So they will really look after you guys over here as well. Grant, this has been an absolute bloody pleasure, mate. I can't wait to catch FEEDER down under, mate, and I know a whole bunch of people will. Any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, mate?
I think you've already said it all. We're really looking forward to it. Can't wait to come back to Australia. We've always had a great time there. Super nice people, nice and laid back. You're into your rock and roll bands and like guitar bands there. So look, and you've got great bands there. So you set a pretty high. You do set the bar, like the bar quite high. So we're going to work hard and do the best shows we can, and hopefully it'll be a special one.
No, I am looking forward to it. I don't think I've seen you guys since way back, Big Day Out, many bloody years. Yeah, many bloody years ago. So Grant, thank you so very much, mate. Everybody grab some FEEDER, chuck it in the stereos, turned up really bloody loud, and I'll see you down under, mate. Cheers.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.